Okay, we are live. ¿Qué tal, amigo? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with the latest news update, live news update, 7:45 p.m. It is the 8th of June 2025 is also the date. We'll be looking at some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the press here today in Spain, and we'll also be taking a look at some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers as well. Before I begin, I just want to say thanks to all of the people that have been supporting the channel. We'll get onto those people that have been supporting the channel a little bit later in the video, but a big thanks to help keep this channel growing throughout the years. Thank you very much for that. Now, straight into the news, and the first story today, people have hit the streets again here in Madrid protesting about the current government and what the current government is doing. I don't know how many times people have gone out onto the streets to protest about the current government, but today was another day, as we can see here. Opposition leader Mr. Feijóo has vowed to lead the revolution of decency at a PP Partido Popular rally with over 100,000 attendees. Today, Sunday, the 8th of June, Alberto Núñez Feijóo, leader of Spain's Popular Party, led a major anti-government rally in central Madrid, which he described as a turning point in his leadership. Supported by ex-Prime Ministers José María Aznar and Mariano Rajoy, and joined by several PP regional leaders, Feijóo proclaimed the event a revolution of decency aimed at opposing Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez. Speaking before a crowd estimated at over 100,000 by the PP party and around 45,000 to 50,000 by government figures, Feijóo criticised Sanchez's leadership, calling his government dishonest and accountable. The protest, held under the banner Mafia or Democracy, was intended to galvanise support ahead of the party's next Congress. Feijóo urged citizens to defend democracy through the ballot box and called for unity and composure rather than revenge. He also took a veiled swipe at far-right leader Santiago Abascal, distancing the PP from extremist positions, and emphasised the need for national harmony. So again, as I said, the opposition party, the main opposition party here in Spain, taking to the streets, calling on the faithful to join the anti-government revolution. Mafia or Democracy was the banner of the rally. Mafia or Democracy. And it gives you an idea of how politics works in this case. One or the other. Mafia or Democracy. Don't know which one we have currently, but the haters of the current government would say that it's a mafia. Other people would say, no, it's democracy in action. Wherever you stand on the matter, please let me know in the comment section below how you think the current government is doing and whether Mr. Feijóo, the leader of the PP, the Partido Popular Party, is the person to take the country forward in the future or not. I have no idea, of course, but I'm sure people out there do have an opinion on this topic. Let us know in that comment section below. Mafia or Democracy? Second piece of news now, and the Catalan Parliament urges the central government to restrict property purchases to long-term foreign residents. The Catalan Parliament has backed a proposal aimed at restricting the ability of foreign nationals to purchase residential property in Spain unless they are permanent residents or have lived in the country for at least 5 years. The motion, presented by Esquerra Republicana, the Republican left of Catalonia, is intended to tackle housing speculation and was supported by the PSC unit groups, the socialist groups in Catalonia. However, it was opposed by Junts, the Partido Popular, Vox, and Aliança Catalana, with the Comuns and CUP parties abstaining. The initiative also recommends a supplementary tax on the sale of property to non-EU residents. In addition, a differentiated legal framework is suggested for companies based in EU member states that wish to acquire commercial real estate. The Parliament further agreed to limit foreign investment in property development, targeting those who buy and construct buildings for commercial sale. The motion reflects growing concern in parts of Spain about foreign-driven housing inflation and speculative property activity. So the Catalan Parliament here, the latest parliament to jump on this bandwagon, the housing crisis bandwagon, trying to find solutions to it. As we know, young people in this country have virtually very little opportunity to purchase property nowadays. Rents are through the roof. Lots of people speculating as to why that is the case. Is it foreign investment coming into the country? Is it the amount of people coming to live in Spain for the first time? People that are perhaps coming from South American countries, coming from other countries around the world to live here. And of course, there is a housing shortage because nobody has been building homes, or very few homes, over the last few years, and the government is trying to fix the problem. But as we know, 2027 is the last year for them, or this current legislature, so maybe won't get around to doing anything then. But the Catalan Parliament, as we saw there, which, as we know, has weight in the Spanish Parliament because of the way Spain is figured out, parliamentary speaking, or in a electoral roll system, and as we know, they can sometimes influence government decisions, especially Pedro Sanchez, who needs the support of these radical left-wing groups like the Republican left of Catalonia. I'll repeat that again, the Republican left of Catalonia, considering that Spain is a constitutional monarchy. These people not only want to separate from Spain, but they also want to give the king the boot as well. The Republican left of Catalonia. Next piece of news here, and the European investigation into the Spanish blackout focuses on failure of system defense mechanisms. A European investigation into the 28th of April blackout that affected the entire Iberian Peninsula, or mainland Spain and Portugal, is focusing on two key issues: while some early generation power units disconnected from the grid, and why the legally mandated system defense plans failed to prevent the collapse. The European Network of Transmission System Operators for Electricity reports that the crisis began with two distinct periods of power and frequency oscillations in the wider central continental European grid. Just 1 minute before the outage, generation failures were recorded in southern Spain, leading to a sudden surge in voltage across both Spain and Portugal. This triggered a chain reaction of generation losses and a drop in system frequency, causing the two countries to fall out of sync with the broader European electricity system. Although the system defense plans were activated in both nations, they were not effective in halting the collapse. Investigators are now examining why these safeguards proved insufficient in such a critical scenario. The investigation continues, as we can see here, as to why mainland Spain and Portugal blacked out on the 28th of April. The government here still hasn't come to any conclusions. Their investigation's still ongoing. And the European Union here, as we can see also, with their investigation saying that it was a failure of system defense mechanisms. So we'll see if we get to the bottom of this issue one day. Maybe sometime, I'm predicting sometime late July, sometime in August, when most people are on holidays and not worrying about what's going on in the country, and therefore a good time, as they say in journalistic terms, put out the trash. You put out the trash when no one's looking. Nobody sees what's in your rubbish, and you can get away with things that maybe you can't if you make them common knowledge in other times. That is the issue I feel here with this blackout, that we're still, as we said, scratching our heads. But the further away it goes, the more people forget about what happened on that day when the country blacked out, as we know, for unknown reasons still. Into the comments section I'm going to go now. We'll take a look at some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers. This one here from Juan Dystopian. Not far away from where I live, there are social housing being built, but they're almost 300,000 euros for a two-bedroom flat. How is that affordable? Because the same flat in the market would be 350,000 euros. How can local people pay for one decent flat when most people earn less than 1,400 euros a month? Juan, thanks for the comment and some good questions posed there. How is that affordable is the first one. I've got no idea how that is affordable, having to pay over 300,000 euros for a social home. And if they go on the normal market, they sell for 350, maybe 400,000. But with government intervention, they can keep the prices down. And salaries are the main issue for a lot of people here in Spain. Low salaries, which don't allow people to save, as we know. But again, I'll say it, and lots of people point this out on a weekly basis, that these problems are not unique to Spain. They happen in other countries too. But in other countries, salaries are a little bit higher. If I compare, for example, where I come from in Australia, but of course you can pay a lot more for property there if you want to get onto the property ladder. But I don't know where Juan Dystopian is living, but social housing is being built in that part of Spain. But again, will it fix the problem in a time frame that people consider to be adequate? I don't know. That is also the question that we need to be putting out there. Next comment here from Marcus. 1 minute 10, there's a huge amount of construction going on right now in Murcia City and at the coast nearby. It's as if 2008 never happened. The skyline is a panorama of cranes, but this is all top-end luxury housing, social housing. Why or for what reason? That's the question there being asked by Marcus. Good questions, Marcus, again here, or statement. The 2008 crisis still looms large on the property market in Spain. We saw the consequences back in 2008. People that weren't here during that time probably don't care or are interested in the 2008 financial crisis and the 7-year crisis here in Spain, the Great Depression as it has been called, where 25% of the active population had to leave the country because the jobs were dried up overnight. The property market crashed, and of course half-built constructions were left in that state for years and years and years. But the cranes are back. They have been back for years now. And also in the press, I have seen the Spanish press asking the question, is there another housing bubble reminiscent of 2008? That is the question. I don't think so. I think experts in the sector are saying that maybe that is not the case. We're not as hot as we were back then in that very, very hot property times when people were going crazy with money that wasn't theirs. And that was the issue, right? Investing in property that perhaps wasn't sustainable. But now there's a combination of different factors, and of course these luxury properties are still happening because there's demand for them in places like Murcia, where the sun shines, where people want to live close to the coast or not far from the coast, in a city like Murcia City, where you've got all of the facilities that you need. The weather is good, which is the most important thing. And people from colder climates want to live where the sun shines, as we know. That could be one of the reasons for this luxury property. I don't know, but thanks, Marcus, for the comment. Moving on. Want to hear from Mick. Spain should revert back to GMT as in pre-Franco times. Thanks, Mick, for the comment. But there's been debate about this for years now here in Spain. Every now and again, something pops up in the press or a politician makes a comment that we're going to change the timetable. There's been also talk of getting rid of daylight savings, staying on the summertime, meaning that some parts of the country, especially the northwest of the country in those winter months, won't see daylight until about 10 a.m. in the morning. That's the reality of the fact, and the Mediterranean coast parts of Spain will get those long afternoons that the tourists like to have, so they can squeeze in an extra happy hour for their gin and tonics or their pints of beer when they're sitting there on holiday. That has been put forward as well. But yet we're still on European time, CET. Portugal is not. Spain should be. But as we know, various things in the past, various historical facts in the past mean that Spain is on a different timetable, that of European countries, and perhaps not geographically on the timetable that it should be, which is GMT, or the same time as Portugal, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and the Canary Islands, which do, in fact, maintain that time zone. So, yeah, we'll see if things change. But again, if you hold your breath, you could die waiting for these things. One here from Juan Is Spain an independent country or a colony of the European Union? Good question, Juan. I'm sure Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez would like to think that Spain is an independent country, although the European Commission, as we saw the other day, does put forward ideas that it thinks Spain should follow. For example, when it comes to taxes, increased taxes, I think they said the other day. They said some other things as well that I can't remember, but I know taxes was one of those things that the European Union is recommending. Also, when it comes to child poverty, I think that was also put forward. Spain needs to sort child poverty out, because how is it possible that your economy is growing at the rate Spain's is, but people are getting left behind? That's the question people ask in the system that we have. But yeah, the European Union does wield influence in countries that belong to it, Spain being one of them. And I'll let you guys debate it, but of course, is there a suggestion that Spain should go down the route of another country that left the European Union? Don't know. Maybe you could ask yourself, how is that country that left the European Union doing currently? Is it better today than it was before leaving the European Union? I don't know. You could ask those questions. But Juan Carrera questioning Spain's independent status, or whether it's just a puppet of the European Union. One here from Jim, talking about the possible return, I think this is, of the Costa del Crime era. We have a place near Fuengirola, or Fuengirola, as the English would like to say, and while we've had no shootings nearby, we've had a noticeable rise in the instances of burglary. I don't think he likes the gang shootings, or like the gang shootings. I've no doubt that they are drug related. Such a shame, as we love spending as much time as the Schengen rules allow in Spain. Thanks, Jim. House near Fuengirola, where some Scottish men were gunned down while they were enjoying a pint of Tennent's, sitting on a terrace in Fuengirola, Malaga, watching the Champions League final. And some two gunmen came along and bang, 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 put an end to those men's lives. What exactly happened on that fateful night for those two gentlemen? I don't think people know exactly. Was it crime-related? Probably. Was it Spanish crime-related? I've got no idea. Were these gentlemen just here on holiday? I haven't seen the latest. I've got no idea. But somebody tracked them down, knew that they would be vulnerable, enjoying their pint of Tennent's, watching the Champions League, and were gunned down. The Costa del Crime era, as we know, back in the 60s, probably 70s and 80s, when a lot of British criminals, other European criminals, used to head down to Spain because they could blend in with the big foreign populations and slide under the radar. And in recent times, the press here in Spain has been critical of the mafias returning to the Costa del Sol, especially Swedish mafias, Dutch mafias, Italian mafias, no doubt some Spanish mafias, and maybe some Scottish mafias as well. I've got no idea, but there is a lucrative crime business because lots of illegal substances come into ports close to Malaga, and Malaga allows people to lead a lifestyle which maybe they can't lead in other parts of the country and go unnoticed, because there is an opulence, if you like, in Malaga, and some of these criminals think that they can blend in there, in Marbella. That could be the reason. I've got no idea. You might not get away with that type of opulence in a small town where the average salary is not over €1,000 a month, but in a place like Marbella, maybe you can slip under the radar or slide, whatever the expression is, and go unnoticed. I don't know. But an interesting times we're living with all of this drug-related crime, and I don't know the story behind it. As I just mentioned, these two Scottish gents getting shot down, but according to some press outlets, they did have a dubious past, let's say. And the final piece of news here from the Cisco Kid, television program from the 1970s, if anyone's that old, the Cisco Kid. I started watching your channel a few months ago because of my plans of walking the Camino from Malaga, the Camino de Santiago from Malaga. Much thanks. Thanks, Cisco. for your comment there. Yeah, lots of people jump onto the videos that I put out, whether they're interested in doing something here in Spain, whether it be coming to live, whether it be having a holiday, whether it be walking the Camino de Santiago from Malaga, which would be a fair hike, I will say. Make sure that you got your days planned to do that one, because wowee, what would that be, 1,000+ kilometers from Malaga to Santiago de Compostela? Don't know, but I reckon it would be up around that figure, over 1,000 kilometers, I would say. So make sure you've got a good pair of walking boots if that is the case, and be prepared for changes in temperature, because the north of the country and the south of the country, when it comes to weather, a lot different. Now, I'm going to go into the chat section, see what is bubbling away in the chat section. We'll see if we've got any chat activity. The reason for these live streams is the live chat aspect, to see what people are talking about, of course, but we need to change the background. Now, on the blurred background that we can see here, this picture was sent in by Barbara, who was recently traveling. Valued member Barbara. Here's the original picture. And this is the Cádiz province down there in the south of Spain, the Cádiz province. Not sure exactly where in the Cádiz province, but Barbara, I will say, gets around traveling the country and sends me in photos from different places. And this is a lovely photo of the Cádiz coastline. So if you've got a similar picture that you would like to see on the backdrop, the email address is on the screen now, spainspeaks@gmail.com. Like Barbara has done, or as Barbara has done, you can do too. Send a photo through to that email address, or any other information that you would like to send my way. Feel free, as they say, to send those photos through, or any other information, to spainspeaks@gmail.com. There we go, the email address. I'm also going to say thanks to the people that have supported the channel. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that the support for this channel is fundamental. I wouldn't still be going if I didn't get the love and support from you guys. So thank you very much. People that send me through super thanks, people that buy me coffees, longer term supporters on Patreon, thank you very much for that support. It's always appreciated. And of course, the channel members here on YouTube, also an important community that we are building. I think around 90 people have become members since I opened this option up. So again, thank you very much for that continued support. I'm also going to put on the screen the like icon. We're currently sitting at 69 likes, which is a good number for some. 69 likes. We'll hit 70 in just a moment. So if you haven't hit the like icon, please consider it. It's free, doesn't cost anything. You just push the button, bing, and you give me a like. 70 we're up to now. There we go. So somebody has taken my advice and hit that like icon. Thank you very much for that. Now, into the chat section I'm going to go. Let's see if I can open the chat section up here. Then it's working okay. Let's see here. Let me scroll up to the top. Andrew is the first person that I can see. Valued member, of course, of the channel. Regular viewer. And a great commentator on the channel as well is Andrew. Good evening, Stuart and all. Hope you're having a good weekend from London southeast, where it's been a nice day. Thanks, Andrew, for that. The author of the photo, Barbara, is in the chat too, from the Playa Flamenca region in Spain. 26 degrees there. I'll take 26. Barbara, today it was a bit warmer in Madrid. I'm going to say 30 plus. I might be wrong, but I think 30 plus. It was here today. Great photo, Barbara. If you've got more, send them through, or on your next travels. Feel free to send those photos through. Bronny coming in from Wales, South Wales, I think it is, in the United Kingdom. Showery today there, but dry weather forecast for the next few days. Thanks, Bronny. Sani, back in Spain. Good evening, everyone, from a sunny and very warm Paiporta. Back to Basingstoke on Tuesday after seeing her grandson graduate from primary school to secondary school. Yeah, this is a thing that they do here. I don't know whether it's common now in other places as well, but I can remember when I left primary school, there was no graduation. There was no graduation. It was just off you go. Off you go. Good luck going into high school. but no graduation per se. But now, of course, they celebrate everything. Graduations after leaving primary school, the big event, leaving primary school and going off into the unknown depths of the high school, where it can either go good or it can go badly for the youngsters. Thanks, Sani. Marianne is in the chat too from San Diego, saying good evening to all that tune into the channel. Doing our best to protect the immigrants who are living and working in San Diego. Weather is good. June gloom, 20 degrees Celsius. Well, there is a bit of a... Yeah, I think I saw in the paper today the immigration problems. I was going to say, we'll use the word problems for lack of a better word. But somebody thinks that it's a problem. And of course, I read, again, I only read this in the paper. Some people that don't like the mainstream news system will probably disagree. But I saw that the army had been sent in to some parts of California for the Trump policies, the anti-immigration policies that are taking place. Kev is in the chat here too. Murcia resident, I think, is Kev. Made the move down from the United Kingdom. Evening, Stu. Hoping all is well. Gigi's in the chat, coming in from her Camino somewhere in Spain. Also on the Camino. Gigi would have done the Malaga route, I'm sure. Greetings from a sunny Palas de Rey. So obviously in Galicia, I would say, because in mainland Spain and the rest of Spain, they don't spell the word Rey like that. 67 more kilometres to Santiago. 2 more days. There we go. Gigi hitting Santiago soon. Good luck, Gigi. Renan coming in from LA, the place we were just talking about, where this immigration thing is going on. Use thing for lack of a better word, of course. Stephen coming in, valued member, never miss a vlog, back in Spain in a couple of weeks, looking forward to it. Cheers, mate, with a couple of red wine glass emojis. We know what Stephen will be doing, hitting the Mercadona, getting a few bottles of red. Jamie coming in from Tampa, Florida. 32 degrees there. Summer is here. Another Tampa resident or St. Petersburg resident soon. Dave, currently in Spain, heading back to the States soon. That's all I know. Well, Stodo, if Feijóo got the top job in the country, would he still face all the same problems? Of course, the problems just get kicked down the road from politicians to politician, but they have a different strategy that might be successful, it might not be. But Mr. Feijóo, I get the impression that he's one of these guys that, the old wet lettuce leaf, the old wet lettuce leaf. Hit somebody with a wet lettuce leaf, you don't get much damage done. That's my opinion of Mr. Feijóo. But then again, I don't really have a dog in the fight, as they say. Dave likes fruit. Thanks, Dave. Merc Rover, hello from the UK again. Not sure when they'll be back in Spain to the new Spanish home that they have bought. There we go, the Merc Rover. Well, you got in before the potential bans, Merc Rover, because we're seeing a lot in recent times of this potential ban on non-EU property purchases. The Catalan Parliament calling for one, or the radical left of Catalonia. So we'll see what happens there. Antonio's in the chat. Hello, Stuart. Hello, everyone. You asked us to give a clear response about the government of Spain. I see nothing clear about the Spanish government. There we go. Nothing clear. They're up to their necks in alleged corruption scandals, is the Spanish government. Every day something breaks in the paper. The same stories repeat themselves, government after government after government. They all start off with good intentions, and then the bricks start to fall down. The foundations start to crack, and the scandals mount. That's exactly what's happening with Mr. Sanchez and company, but he doesn't care. He just moves on. He knows that he has the support of all of these independence parties, all of these parties that would like to separate from the rest of the country, all of these groups that really have nothing in common, except they don't want the opposition party in power, because the opposition party would mean the end of the party for a lot of these political parties, if that makes sense, as we saw back in 2017. That's what they don't want. Raymond coming in from Bogota, Colombia. Minor earthquake there. Un temblor, the word in Spanish. But everything okay. Thankfully, seems to be okay. Thanks for that, Raymond. Bob and Jill coming in from Torrevieja, the YouTube central hub here in Spain. Lots of YouTubers coming out of Torrevieja. 7,000 home development down there taking place. Prices starting at 185,000. How do first-time buyers and low earners afford to buy? Not helping the housing shortage. Well, I think, Bob, as I've mentioned before, Torrevieja is not one of these places where young people are looking to live, because there's no jobs there, as you know. Unless you want to work in the ice cream parlour or maybe in a factory close by, there's nothing really going on as far as jobs are concerned. Construction maybe. So, yeah, I'm sure that a lot of those houses would be for second-hand purchases, whether they're Spanish people or European people that are looking for a home close to the coast to spend their weekends and summer holidays, or to retire. But for the young people, probably not, Bob, but I'm sure we'll see it in the upcoming YouTube videos that come out of that part of the world. What else we got going on here? Let's have a look. Teddy's just saying hello. Thanks, Teddy. Good evening to you too. Melissa is in the chat here. Melissa Mancini. Hello, Stu and todos or todas. Now that the cloud cover has lifted, it's mostly sunny there in the Basque region. Hope you have a pleasant week. I have to catch up with the vids. Thanks, Melissa, for that. Enjoy the pleasant weather up in the north of the country, which at this time of the year, let's be honest, it's a nice part of Spain to be. The Jazz Shed is also in the chat from Bury St Edmunds in the UK. Thanks for the news. Thank you for watching Jazz Shed. John saying 34% underprivileged children, said the European Union. Yeah, I think that was the figure, John. Here in Spain, they talked about a lot of, I think they were mainly immigrant children that struggle here in Spain. Obviously, the parents stuck in the poverty trap, difficult to get out of. They also mentioned the Roma population, of course, that comes in from the east of Europe into countries like Spain and can't break that poverty cycle. And that's one of the issues, of course. But, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Antonio saying here, congratulations, Stuart, on your video in Santiago de Compostela, an amazing one. Also, the weather in that video was great. I hope you enjoyed Santiago with that beautiful day. Cheers. Yeah, I did enjoy Santiago, Antonio. Probably won't be going back there anytime soon. I think my days in Santiago de Compostela are done. I have no interest in doing the Camino, I don't think, unless somebody suggests that as an event to do, and they manage to convince me to do it. But I don't think I'll be going back to Santiago de Compostela. Better cities in Galicia, in my opinion, where you can experience everything that it has to offer without the mass tourism, which Santiago has dealing with nowadays. But yeah, you know, for people that haven't been there, I've been there. You know, I've been there, done that. But never say never. But don't think I'll be going back anytime soon, to be honest, to Santiago de Compostela. But if you haven't been there, go for it. Robert in the chat here too. Hello from Vancouver. Hope you're doing well. Housing crisis not unique to Spain. Average homes prices in the Greater Vancouver area sitting at around 1.26 million Canadian dollars. There we go. Yep, expensive everywhere, as we know. We've got a super chat here from Andrew. Thank you very much, Andrew. Not only a valued member, but also contributing in the super chat. Enjoying the broadcast. Thanks for the hard work. Have a drink on me. I will do, Andrew. I will do. In fact, as soon as I finish this live stream, the can will be cracked. The can will be cracked. I can tell you that right now. My throat is dry. And it needs some moisture. Osuakit in the chat here too. 33 degrees in Oregon, USA. Beautiful sunshine. Loving it. Dave's saying that there are thousands. Is that thousands? Yeah, thousands of new apartments being constructed in Dave's new neighbourhood in Alcalá de Henares. $250K for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath room. $250K. Some people might see that as cheap. Some people might see that as expensive. Don't know. But there is property being built. Is it social housing, Dave? Probably not, right? Ireland has a problem with crazy property prices. There we go. Thanks, Billy, for that. Yeah, Ireland, of course, a very, very popular place for people to go and work. And when you become too popular, things get tough. Well, Shane, the luxury properties are being bought for money laundering by the very wealthy. Seriously, who can afford them? Another theory put out there. Teddy's saying that banning non-Spanish from buying houses won't sort out the shortage of social housing the government needs to build. It's that easy. So much land there. Yeah, well, I think another one of the European suggestions, Teddy, that we saw the other day was to maybe make the bureaucracy a little bit easier. Not so much red tape when it comes to buying property. That could also be one of the issues. I don't know. Charlie, what a pity those criminals couldn't even watch the end of the football game. Yep, I don't think they saw the final siren, but I think it was a bit of a one-sided game, the Champions final this year, if I remember correctly. Paris Saint-Germain and the Spanish coach, Luis Enrique. Funny how when you get rid of all of your expensive stars, your Mbappés, your Messis, your Neymars, you win the Champions League. I'm sure there's a lesson there somewhere. In Oregon, the house prices are extremely high. A medium-sized town, over 500 US thousand. Can't imagine what they are in bigger cities. That's it. Europe without the EU doesn't bear thinking about, says YouTubers. There we go. Nothing to do with tourism in Ireland. Nothing to do with tourism. The problem, I don't think it is here either, except the B&B factor. It's probably one thing contributing to the issue. There would be an effect, of course, but the other problems as well. The amount of people coming into Spain is also incredible. I saw some figures recently of the amount of people that are becoming Spanish citizens, people that come from South America, of course. We're talking hundreds of thousands of people a year that are coming to the country. Then, of course, after 2 years, they're able to become a Spanish citizen if you come from a South American country. So immigration, and that was also recommended by the European Union, it will affect the influx of immigration. If there's no housing, people say, why am I going to go to Spain if there's nowhere to live? And, of course, people have got to do the jobs. What else? Let's have a look here. Let's have a look. Dave, hi Stu, that background pic is way out of focus and it made me switch you off. Well, Dave, if you switch off because the background picture is out of focus, maybe, there you go, it's in focus. Now it's out of focus, but you won't be watching. Sorry, Dave. Charlie bought a pair of hiking shoes, €40 from the Spanish. Well, what would be the pronunciation of this, of course? You would think Joma, right? If you were an English speaker, but of course in Spanish, Homer. Homer, like Homer Simpson. Abe, still in Sitges, loving every day back in Spain. Saludos. Thanks, Abe, valued member. What else we got going on here? How different is mainland Spain from Mallorca? One's an island, I think. The other one is quite an extensive country. I think that would be one of the main differences. Probably if you went to the city, Palma, you wouldn't see much difference except for the ocean or the sea surrounding it, but it would look like a typical Spanish city, I would say. Stephen's a valued member in the chat too. Hope everyone has had a good week. Looking forward to getting back to Torrevieja on Wednesday. Love June in Spain. Temperatures are just right, month before it gets too hot. That is true. It does get very hot very soon. It does. What else we got going on here? You have blurred the picture. Yes, I blur the picture when it's on the background because it makes it easier for me to read sometimes what I've got on the screen. That's one of the reasons. But we all saw the picture. I'll put it on again for people that want to see the picture. There we go. Not blurred. Blurred. What else? Let's have a look here quickly. YouTube is saying Spain had GMT 40 years ago. Same longitude, as London makes sense, but sharing Berlin and Paris time 2 o'clock noon is really funny. No wonder Spanish eat dinner at 10 when it gets dark. 40 years ago, I don't think it had GMT YouTube. It probably would have been longer than that, or longer ago than that, I would say. Mark, loving the vlogs. Hopefully back in Spain soon. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I'll do some more vlogs this week, maybe, if I can find something interesting to do. Larry coming in from Tazacorte, La Palma in Canarias. What else? Brian here saying that Ireland is too expensive even for the Irish. There we go. Our locals getting priced out. And Joma is pronounced Homer. It's a mystical animal with eagle's head and a lion body with wings. Homer Simpson. That is true, yes. Very big company that comes from the center of Spain, I think, if I'm not mistaken. The factories in Toledo, maybe, or Ciudad Real, somewhere in Castilla y León is where Homer is made. And a lot of the kids that play football here, it's a popular brand. It's the Spanish Adidas, if you like. Or the Spanish Puma. Or the Spanish New Balance, maybe. I don't know. One of those companies. You know what I mean. And the shoes are manufactured in China, as they all are. Charlie, don't expect them to be anything to be made here, of course. Now I'm going to wrap the live stream up. It's been a pleasure as always. I'm just going to unblur the background again. There we go. And I'll be back again on Tuesday. Not sure whether it'll be a live stream. It depends whether I can get through the day or whether I record a video in the morning. But more live streams will be coming up soon. Maybe Thursday for another live stream. But again, no guarantees. But anyway, thanks for watching this evening. As I said, another live stream will be out again soon. But regular videos in the meantime. Watch those. Thank you for the support as usual. Hasta luego. Adios. Bye-bye.